Hello guys and welcome back to the Flutter tutorial. So far we've been having single widget in our screen at a time. So today we will learn how to have multiple widgets inside our screen. To get this started, I will comment this container, then at the body I will type row. Inside the row we have a property called children, and children is a list of widgets actually. So I will type, for example, the first widget will be text. I will say hello there. Then after we finish with our widget, we add comma. After the comma, we type our next widget. So our next widget, I will type elevated button and empty unpressed function. Then in the child, I will have context saying click me. Alright, so after the elevated button, I will have a container, and this container would have a width of, let's say, 100, a height of 80. Then it will have a decoration, so const box decoration, and I will just type colors.red, for example. Let's save it and see what happens. And here we go. We're finally having multiple widgets inside our screen. But as we can see, our widgets are stuck together. We don't have spaces between them. So to solve this issue, we have multiple ways to do so. The first way, before children property, we have main axis alignment. So we will type main axis alignment, then dot. Inside here, we have multiple options. So let's start with center. Let's save it and see what happens. Alright, the row itself goes to the center. So all items inside the row will be in the center and they're still stuck together. So let's try a different option. We have space evenly. Let's save it and here we go. Now we have space for each item inside this row and they are evenly calculated. So let's try a different option also. We have space around. We will have space around this widget. And let's try another one. We have space between as well. So space between will leave space only between the widgets, not on the left or at the end. And we also have end. So let's try the end. And here we go. All items goes to the end of the row. But sometimes, for example, we want them to be in the center or we want them to be in the start, but we want to control the space ourselves. So to control it ourselves, we use a widget. For example, after the text, I want a space of 20 or 30 pixels. Then after the button, I want another space. So to do that, we use a widget which is sized box. So the sized box actually takes a width, a height, and a child. Here inside the row, we don't care about the height and we don't care about the child. We only care about the width. So I will pass width and let's try and give it 20 pixels and add comma after it. So let's save it and see what happens. Okay, so here we have space between the text and the button. So if I type const size box here as well, size box here, and give it a width, for example, of 50 and save it, we will have another space between the button and the container. But sometimes we want, for example, we want this widget and this widget to be close together, but this widget I want it to be at the end of the row. So to do that, we might increase this width. So let's try 150. But sometimes, as we have here, we have a render flex error. So we have an overflow by 36 pixel. So if we remove 36 pixel of this 150, we will solve the error. If I'm not mistaken, it's 114. So let's save it. And we're still having a render flex of 0 point. So let's remove it to 113. And here we go. So now we are having our container at the end of this row. But if we are using a smaller device or a larger device, we might have a render flex error as well, or we might have extra space from the right side. So this time, instead of using sized box, to do that, we use another widget called spacer. Spacer is a widget that will fill the available space between this widget and this widget. But before I save it, I will comment this spacer first to show you. So we having this widget stuck to each other, and then I will add the spacer and save it, and here we go. We don't have any render flex error, and if we have a smaller device or a larger device, this space might increase or might decrease based on the device. We don't care about that, it do the job itself. So let me also show you a couple of things about row. We also have cross-axis alignment. So the main axis alignment deals horizontally, and the cross-axis alignment deal with the row vertically. So let's start cross-axis alignment dot, and also here we have multiple options. For example, we have center, and it's actually the default, nothing will change. We have, for example, start, it will take them to the top, and we have end, and if we type end, it wouldn't take them to the lower part, here to the bottom. It will actually take them to the bottom of the highest widget inside our row. So if I save it now, here we go. So for example, if I increase this container height, they will move downward as well. For example, let's give it 180, and here we go. Okay, so let's keep it as 80, that was better. Okay, we have a different option also. We have stretch. So let's try stretch, and it will stretch them. Okay, but this doesn't look nice, so let's have it center as default. Okay, so that's all about rows. So let's now have a look at a different widget also to have multiple widgets inside our screen. We have column. So column is actually like a widget. We have children, we have main axis alignment, we have cross axis alignment. So let's add some children. So I will have text, text saying hello there as well. And after the text, I will have an outline button and empty. Then here const text, also click me without space, and let's add container as well. Inside the container, I will give it a width of 100 and a height of 90, and decoration, const box decoration. Inside that color, let's have colors dot yellow. Let's save it and see what happened. And here we go. This is our column. So let's start manipulating our column. So let's add main axis alignment dot space between. But before I save it, I've said previously inside the row, the main axis alignment deals with the widget horizontally, and the cross axis alignment deal with them vertically. But in the column, they are reversed. So the main axis alignment deal with them vertically, and the cross axis alignment deals with them vertically. So let's save it now and see what happens. And here we go. We're having spaces between the widgets. We can change that to space evenly, for example. Let's save it, and we will have spaces evenly. And we have space around as well, and we have end and center. So let's try them as well. Okay. And we have cross-axis alignment, so let's add cross-axis alignment. Let's have it, for example, center, and save it. We can hardly see it, so let's increase the width of this container, let's say 200 instead of 100. And here we go, they are in the center. So we can have it, for example, start, let's stretch. Okay. And we can have it end. And we can have it stretch as well. And the stretch, as you can guess, it will stretch them horizontally, not vertically this time. And here we go. Okay, and as row, instead of having spaces in main axis alignment or cross axis alignment, we can control the spaces ourselves. So we can add size box as well. So let's add here a size box. But this time, instead of saying width, we will use the height, because this is a column, not a row. So let's try 50 and save it. And we will have, save it. And we will have 50 pixels space between the text and the button. And also, as the column, we can add spacer if we want to have this container at the bottom of the screen. We can add spacer as well, but don't forget about the comma. Okay, so the spacers take the available space between the button and the column. So here we go. We can also have a row inside a column. For example, I will copy this row, and after the container I will add a comma and uncomment this row and save it. And here we go, we are having our row. We don't have spaces, we can add size box or something. So we can have multiple widgets inside our screen. What I need to do now, I want to remove this spacer, and I will add another container, but this container after the row. And here's the row. After the row, this container will have a width of, for example, 500. So let's save it, and let's change the color, for example, green or gray. Okay. So as you can see, we are having a render fix error. It's overflowed by 105 pixels. So if we decrease the size of this container by 105, it will work. But what if we don't want to decrease the size or the height? We want it to be 500 either way, and we want this widget to be scrollable. So to do so, we need to wrap our widget, our column widget, with another widget, and this widget should be scrollable widget. So I will come up here, click on this column, then click on this and wrap with the widget. The widget we need to wrap with is single child scroll view. Let's add this and save it, and we will have our error gone, and this widget is actually now scrollable. So now I can scroll this screen